بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Okay. Coming on to the extension of Al-Masjid Al-Nabawi and the different phases which it went through. So we discussed previously at the beginning the two phases which both took place during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The first phase was the original masjid, the first construction, and that is the dark square which you can see in the middle. The pink on the outside is a current plan of the Masjid al-Nabawi. And then you had the second extension, that small little thing on the side, that was where the green dome is, the house of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, and where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is buried. So in the 7th year Hijri after Khaybar, then the extension took place, and as mentioned it was slightly extended to the east and also the west, along with the northern side as well. And that was during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which we've explained previously, of how Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu purchased the land, etc. This then remained through up until the time of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. After that, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away. During the time of Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, nothing happened. Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's khilafah was a very short khilafah, 2 years, in which Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was busy with the wars which took place of apostasy. And after that, Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu took the lead of the Muslim rule and empire. And during that time, a lot of Muslims now slowly were continuing to enter into Islam, and the population in Medina Munawwara, being the main capital of the Islamic world, considerably increased. And therefore the Musalliyan and the Muslims, the locals, they suggested to Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu that if you could extend and the masjid and make it bigger so that it can accommodate the congregation which is constantly growing. So Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu in the 17th year of Hijri. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away in the 11th. Thereafter Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu 2 years, 2.5 years, and that would take it to around 13th. And after around 3 years or so, during the Khilafah of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he increased the size of Masjid al-Nabawi. He increased it in all directions except the eastern direction, because that would then come into the house of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha and the house of Ummahatul Mu'mineen, which are on the left hand side of the masjid when you face in the Qibla. So in the south, facing the Qibla, it was increased approximately 5 meters. 15 meters to the west, it was increased, and 10 meters to the west and 15 meters to the north, downwards towards the main masjid now, it was increased. And the roof, which was quite low up until then, this roof was also raised. And Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu had many oil lamps installed within the masjid, and also 2 incense burners were placed within the masjid as well. And the oil and the incense was taken from the Baytul Mal. Another particular change which Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu did was he added 2 doors. One door which he added was Babul Nisa. This door is currently there, and that door is used to enter into the masjid when you now currently want to go to the Rawdah. You have to enter through this door. And the other door which was added was Babul Salam. And this door is the door which you entered, gate number 1, where you enter through when you're going to say Salat and Salam to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These 2 doors were added by Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu. Besides that, if you look at the previous construction, there was only 2 doors. One was the Babul Jibreel and Babul Rahma on the opposite side. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu had these 2 doors installed. And Babul Nisa, the door for the women, so this door was exclusive for the women to enter through and will lead to the quarters where the women would perform their salat. Now this is a picture of Babul Salam. The first one on your left hand side is from 1920, the middle one is from around 1950, and the right hand side one is the current door of Babul Salam, and with the current construction. This is a more closer view. We can see the beauty of the calligraphy there as well, and how it leads directly towards the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is where you need to enter from, and that is the actual door which is there at the arc, where behind the chandelier there, that is the door of Babul Salam. This is a bit more closer of the different calligraphy. The Ottoman calligraphy was very, mashallah, profound, and which they have still maintained within the masjid as well. And they do, just recently when COVID was taking place and it was closed down, the masjid, so they actually cleaned everything up, and they actually called some specific calligraphers as well to kind of just touch up and polish up on the calligraphy throughout the masjid. The other door was Babul Nisa. This is an old picture of Babul Nisa, of the inner door, and this is the current entry point of the what do you call it, the towards the Rawdah of Babul Nisa. Now over here you have a blank page. Unfortunately I was unable to put the picture on, I didn't have time. There was 2 pictures which I need to put on. One was the house of Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and the other was the house of Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu. I didn't get the time. If I can kind of like find it for you here. It's not on here yet. It's not downloaded yet. Nevertheless, inshallah, I'll try to find a picture. Or you can always look it up. So, Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's house, during this extension, because the masjid towards the western side got extended by 15 meters, so many, or rather 10 meters, many houses that were there were taken into and incorporated within the actual masjid. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's house was one of these houses. Now, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when the houses were built around Masjid al-Nabawi, so many of the people had their houses opening into Masjid al-Nabawi. So like you have these doors here, so some of these doors open this way as well, into the masjid, on the side, our side room doors. So similarly with the houses of the Sahaba around Masjid al-Nabawi. So when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam extended the masjid in the second phase, then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, look, all those doors which are opening into the masjid, I want them closed. Now you have to open your other doors and you make your way around. You can't open up into the masjid. The masjid will remain secure in this way, except for the door of Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, that can remain open. It was like a window, it wasn't a main door, it was like a window kind of door, like a bit of a ledge which they could just kind of like hop into the masjid. So he says the window of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, that can remain open. So because Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu would constantly look at of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what he was doing, where he was going, and he would constantly be at the side of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So therefore Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu that you can keep your window open. So that was called khawka to Abu Bakr. Khawka was like the ledge window kind of thing. So he said khawka to Abu Bakr. So that khawka to Abu Bakr, still they've kind of, obviously now it's incorporated in the masjid, but they've still kept a sign there which shows that this was where the khawka of Abu Bakr was. And that was a picture which I wanted to show you. So they put a door, the door was there. When it got extended, the door became there. When it got extended again, they put another door there. And then when it got extended for the third time and during the current extension, then that door now is Dar Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, the Bab Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. So when you walk through Bab Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, then you go through the main door, then you'll come to a second door, which was the extension, which we'll discuss later on. And then when you walk in through the third of a opening, on top of that it will be written across Hada Khawqatu Abi Bakr, and that was where the house of Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu was. The other house, which also was incorporated, was Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu's. Now Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu's house was on the Qibla wall. Qibla wall. So when Sayyidina Abu Bakr Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu wanted to, he extended it this way as well, towards the Qibla side. So part of Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu anhu's house had to also come into the masjid. So Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu went to Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu anhu and said, look, we need to extend the masjid. So either you donate the house to the masjid, or we'll buy it off you and we'll relocate you elsewhere. Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu anhu said, no, neither. I'm not going to give it you, and nor am I going to sell it to you. So he said, look, we need to do it, we need to extend the masjid, so we need your house. It's simple. Either we buy it off you, or you donate it. So he said, look, this house was given to me specifically by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam assisted me in constructing this house himself. So I'm not going to give you this house. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam actually helped Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu anhu construct the house. One incident which is mentioned by the Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala as well. He says that once Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu was walking towards the masjid, and so say this is the Qibla wall. So Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu anhu's house is somewhere here, and this was the masjid. So as he was walking past, Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu anhu's house, it had a drain which was coming out onto the road. So it was happened to be raining that day. So while Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu was walking, water came out and it splashed on Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu got angry. And he says, is this how you put a drain out on your house? And he instructed a few people and he says, take that drain off. Take that drain off and move elsewhere. Carried on. Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu anhu wasn't present then, later he found out. So he came to Umar radiallahu anhu and said, what did you do? She says, what do you mean, what did I do? He says that your drain wasn't, appropriate and it made my clothes dirty, etc. So I got rid of it and I moved it elsewhere. So he says, do you know that that drain was personally put by the hands of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? She says, is that so? He says, yes. So he says, then that's fine. Then we restore it. And how will we restore it? That you will climb on the back of Umar and you will then put that drain back in its place on my back. Who is Umar to take away that drain which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam put with his hands? So when you go through Babu Salam, a few steps, they say this is Babu Salam, you'll take a few steps, say around somewhere here, and if you look on the wall, then you'll see the calligraphy on the wall, and this again, inshallah, maybe if I remember and find it, I'll put it on. So there's a calligraphy there, all the way across, obviously the red calligraphy going across. But on a specific point, that red calligraphy has a black line coming down. And that black line was the exact spot of the drain of the house of Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So that I was intending to show you as well, but inshallah, maybe next time I didn't get a chance to, because I was kind of like looking up and finding it and I just didn't get a chance. But khair, inshallah. So that was the second extension, you could say, the third phase. So the first was actual construction, then the first extension during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which was the second phase, and the third phase was the second extension during the time of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. The fourth phase, the third extension, was during the time of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu, which took place approximately in the 29th year of Hijrah. And in this time, the masjid was extended a further 5 meters in the north and the south. So coming down, and in the south going up towards the Qibla as well. And also it was extended a bit more towards the west as well, around 5 meters. And now the masjid has not gone beyond that extension in the direction of the Qibla. The direction of the Qibla, that wall which Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu had, that is the wall of the Qibla now as well. And Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, he made quite good renovations to the actual masjid, in which Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, he decorated the masjid with stones and special limestones, and roof was made of high quality timber and wood as well. And iron bars, molten lead was also put within the pillars as well to reinforce them, and so that they can keep up the actual roof as well. During his time, in his mimbar, in his mihrab, he actually made an enclosure. Because of the assassination of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu prior, for his own protection, he made an enclosure within his own mihrab where he would perform his salat. So the imam could be seen, but he would be protected with that enclosure. That obviously enclosure doesn't remain anymore. And his mihrab as such was the original, was a mihrab up until just recently, just a few years, I think about COVID time, just prior to COVID or just after COVID. This was the mihrab used by all the imams. And from the time of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu up until now. And then just now recently, in the last 4 years, 5 years, they've gone back to the original musalla and the original mihrab of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So this is the mihrab of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Now, another house which came into the masjid during this time was the house of Hafsa radiallahu ta'ala anha. And the house of Umar radiallahu ta'ala, the family of Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Hafsa radiallahu anha's house was directly opposite the house of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. And there was very little walking distance between the two. So much so that where we stand here for Salat and Salam, now you don't even stand here because they've got the little platform there where the officers stand, and then you stand behind that as well. But there where you used to stand, even this I think is a bit far out. It used to be a bit more towards the left. That is where the house of Hafsa radiallahu ta'ala anha was. When the extension of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu came, then they said that, look, obviously we need to incorporate this part into the masjid. It needs to be made into a walking area, etc. So if you allow us, then we could do that. So he said, look, where shall I go? So then they moved her house and the house of Umar radiallahu anhu and his family members a bit further. So where this wall is, on the right hand side, there. Okay, so this is a bit of a further view. So where those officers are standing now, directly behind, in front of them, where that one is, that is where the house was extended to. And the house was there, and they lived there, and they continued. When the other extension happened, after this one, after this extension, then that house also was taken a little bit. So obviously this was a wall, but they extended it a little bit more. So then obviously the walls of the masjid was kind of fortified, etc. So because of that, they had to remove that house as well. So although the masjid Qibla wasn't extended, but the masjid walls, etc. was moved slightly. So they had to take that part into the masjid as well. So they said that when Uthman radiallahu anhu took it into the house, so she had a direct passage to the masjid. So when Uthman radiallahu anhu wanted to take her house in, so he said, look, I'll keep a direct passage for you into the masjid. So she said, okay, then that's fine, I'll move back. So she moved back. When the next extension took place, then they wanted to obviously relocate her. So she said, what can we do? You know, we had a direct passage into the masjid, so we want this direct passage into the masjid. So what they did is they put a window there, and they made a kind of passage for them underground, like a tunnel, which would lead then to the masjid. And then over time, obviously, that tunnel has now been covered up, and that tunnel doesn't remain there. But that window that was there still remains there. And you don't really notice it. I've never noticed this window. Because when you go for Salat and Salam, then obviously you kind of like, you know, looking down, say your Salat and Salam, and you carry on. And you're facing the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But this is basically directly behind you, this window there on your left. And it's actually there. And that is known as Khawqatu Ali Umar or Khawqatu Hafsa, the window of Hafsa radiyallahu ta'ala anha, or the window of the family of Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anha. So they've still kept, so because she said that, look, we want that constant path towards the masjid. So they said, look, we'll keep this window for you, and we'll kind of like make a tunnel for you. So they kept that in that specific direction. The next phase and the extension was during the time of the Khalifa Walid ibn Abdul Malik. And when Walid made his Khalifa, as you can see with his extension, which was the blue area, he was obviously in Baghdad, or rather Damascus. He was in Damascus, and at that time the governor of Medina Munawwara was Umar ibn Abdul Aziz rahimahullah ta'ala. So the in the 88th year of Hijrah, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz rahimahullah ta'ala, under the instruction of Walid, was told to extend Masjid al-Nabawi. So he extended the Masjid al-Nabawi. And as you can see from the extension now, the house of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha and all the houses which were also on that left hand side of the Azwaj al-Mutahharat, they have now all been incorporated into the masjid. And at that time, a lot of people pleaded to Walid that, no, don't do this. Don't do this. Leave the houses of the Azwaj al-Mutahharat. But he says, no, we need to because of logistical reasons, etc. We need to. Sayyidina Musayyib rahimahullah ta'ala would say that if only they would have left it, then the people could see how simple was the house of the king of this world and the master of humanity, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the wives' houses. Very simple, just little huts kind of things, and very simple houses. So the people came out crying that don't demolish them, but there was a need to, so he ended up demolishing them. This is a reconstruction of the masjid as it was built by Walid and under the supervision of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz rahimahullah ta'ala. So the roof was raised from 5 meters to 12 meters, and then a lot of additional doors were added all throughout on the sides of the masjid, and some 20 doors were made around the masjid, and 4 minarets were added to the masjid. So this was the first time the masjid now had minarets, and the 20 doors were coming around the masjid. So you can see the doors on the sides. So this would be the Babu Salam, and then Babu Bakr Siddiq, then Babu Rahma, etc. going around. And on that side you'll have Babu Jibreel and Babu Nisa, etc. going down that way. And this is another, the construction took approximately 3 years. This is another model of that specific construction of what was seen as Khalif al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik's expansion. Thereafter that, you had the expansion of Khalif al-Mahdi, and this took place in 161 Hijri and continued till 165 Hijri, which corresponds to around 781 the Christian era. So in this time it was additionally further north, so more towards away from the Qibla, it was extended a little bit more, and then additional courtyard, etc. was added as well, and 8 additional doors were also added. And this is a picture of that extension which took place during the Khalif al-Mahdi's time. And this then construction remained as it is for 600 years, and no other extensions took place until another 600 years later. After 600 years, then an extension took place, and that inshallah will continue inshallah next week. Inshallah, we've got another 2 weeks I think before Ramadan. Inshallah, we'll wrap this up. We'll go through the few more extensions left, and thereafter inshallah we've just got the actual the blessed grave and the house of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which needs to be discussed, of how the gumbad and the dome came, etc. Inshallah, that we'll discuss over the next couple of weeks. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take us time and time again to Al-Masjid al-Nabawi, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala safeguard Al-Haramain al-Sharifain and Al-Masjid al-Aqsa, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala safeguard our our Muslims that are there, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to do whatever is necessary to bring the nusrat and the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the Muslims. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Sallallahu ta'ala. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سلام على عباده الذين صفى، سلام على المرسلين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد وانزل المقعد المقرب عندك. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة القائمة والصلاة النافعة صل على محمد وارض عني رضا لا رزقة بعده أبدا. اللهم صل على محمد عبده ورسوله وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد وبارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد وارحم محمد وعلى محمد كما صليت وباركت ورحمت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. وبارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. وبارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ال ابراهيم كما باركت على ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ال ابراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد اللهم صل على محمد وأزواجه وذريته كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد النبي وأزواجه أمهات المؤمنين وذريته وأهل بيته كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وترحم على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما ترحمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم ترحم على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما ترحمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم تحنن على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما تحننت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم سلم على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما سلمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم على محمد وعلى آل محمد وارحم محمد وعلى محمد كما صليت وباركت وترحمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد عبده ورسوله كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وبارك على محمد النبي الأمي كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد عبده ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد صلاة تكون لك رضا ولو جزاء ولحق أداء وعاطي الوسيلة والفضل والمقام المحمود الذي وعدت وجزي أن ما هو أهل وجزي أفضل ما جازيت نبيا قومه ورسول الأمة. وصل على جميع إخوانه من النبيين والصالحين يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل علينا معهم. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى أهل بيته كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك علينا معهم صلوات الله وصلوات المؤمنين على محمد النبي الأمي. اللهم اجعل صلواتك ورحمتك وبركاتك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما جعلت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وصلى الله على النبي الأمي. التحيات الله والصلوات والطيبات. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات الطيبة صلوات الله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات الله الطيبة صلوات الله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات المباركات صلوات الطيبات الله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. بسم الله بالله. التحيات الله والصلوات والطيبات. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أسأل الله الجنة وأعوذ بالله من النار. التحيات الله الزاكيات الله الطيبات صلوات الله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. بسم الله بالله. أخلص من التحيات الطيبات صلوات الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أرسله بالحق والشين والذين وأن الساعة آتية لا ريب فيها. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. اللهم اغفر لي واهدني. التحيات الطيبات والصلوات وملك الله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله. التحيات لله صلوات الله الزاكيات لله. السلام على النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. شهدت أن لا إله إلا الله. شهدت أن محمدا رسول الله. التحيات الطيبات والصلوات الزاكيات لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. التحيات الطيبات والصلوات الزاكيات لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. التحيات الصلوات الله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. التحيات الله الصلوات الطيبات. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات المباركات الصلوات الطيبات لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات المباركات الصلوات الطيبات لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. بسم الله والسلام على رسول الله. يا رب صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. سبحانك اللهم أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك اللهم ونتوب إليك.